Hello, and welcome to this Stargates information. My name is Amber Dawn Star. I am a practical mystic, which means that I can connect the dots between what is going on in the mundane, everyday world and how it is connected to the divine and the miraculous and the mystical. So please allow me to fill your senses with truth because that's what I'm about, that's what I represent, and that is what is so needed right now in this world. I've called this selection The Last Black Domino because I feel and I know that George Floyd was the last black domino. He was the last domino in a history, a 400-year history, 400-year history of cruelty and enslavement and debasing and all of the things of the shadow of the human person that can dish out. And we have been dishing it out for 400 years, at least. So now these souls that have sacrificed their lives for the greater good, it is for the greater good of humanity, of moving us out of our myopic ideas about what is right and what is wrong. And if this life matters and this life doesn't matter, it's changing our views now, and we cannot go back. We've lived for thousands of years in this Piscean age that is ending with the suppression of our feelings. And our feelings need to be felt now, and they need to be honored, they need to be expressed, they need to be revealed. And all of them, not just the quote unquote good feelings, but the feelings that we have not given any voice to. And now it's time to give a voice. So, connecting the dots from this horrific scene, this horrific injustice that has had a long line of dominoes preceding it. And to connect the dots from what is happening with this last domino, this last black domino. And interestingly enough, dominoes are black with white. So it is completely the yin yang of the experience of humanity right now. We are in the midst of a full moon lunar eclipse in Sagittarius, which is about the higher mind, about beliefs, about seeing that your belief isn't the only belief, about expanding your beliefs to include everyone. And you don't have to agree with them. You don't have to stand by what other people think or believe, but now it's time to listen. We must listen now. we've been turning a blind eye and turning our head and pretending that, oh, well, it'll all work itself out, and having this happen from the outside in, and that it'll all be taken care of. Well, now we have to take care of it on the inner and start looking at what is going on with our own lives and our own selves and how we matter. Because if we come to the understanding that we matter and that we are part of the divine and that we are part of all that is and that we are a spark of creation, of God, any word you want to put on that, it's all very limiting. But that higher source that we all come from is now being asked to come forward in our lives. Because once we connect with that divine source and that divine knowing, this is about knowing, not about thinking. Sagittarius rules knowing, the greater mind, the divine mind, the ability to connect with that divinity. Well, that starts with each and every one of us. How can we see others as divine, or this beautiful planet, or animals, or children, if we do not honor it in ourselves first? Because then it's always the other. Oh, well, it's not affecting me, so therefore, meh, meh. Oh, yes, it's terrible. Oh, yes, it's horrific. Oh, yes, it needs to stop. And it doesn't really affect me, so I'm not that really, really interested or invested. Well, now this last black domino, George Floyd, has made it that now nobody isn't being affected by this. There have been a lot of people, black people, that have been killed for centuries in the name of what exactly? What the fuck exactly? If you lived in Africa, believe me, you'd want to have dark skin. Can you imagine if Africans came to Europe and stole white people to take them back to Africa to make them slaves? Can you just even wrap your mind around it? Of course not. I mean, it's not that humanity hasn't always been fighting over something. That seems to be the third dimensional MO. However, we're moving from this third dimensional reality, this fear-based reality, this me, my, own, consume, destroy, into a higher frequency, which is about love and honor and trust and truth, and being a representation of what that looks like in this world now. Connecting the dots to this on a higher level, on a cosmic level, on a mystical level, is that the timing now is here. Some people understand this at a deep, heartfelt level, and a lot of people right now are just waking up to this. And that's okay. The idea is to get everybody woke. And usually that comes with harshness, unfortunately. That's been our history. That's been our pattern. But this soul, George Floyd, this soul chose to be sacrificed as the last black domino. There's no going back. And who would want to? And yes, Black Lives Matter. All life matters. This is in our face right now because we have not allowed ourselves to change our perspective or change our thinking or change our hearts. We've just kept the status quo going, which is, of course, what the people that are running the show behind the scenes exactly want from you. They want your complacency. They want your silence. They want you to be a robot and just keep churning and not digesting the awfulness that's been going on for so long. It is time now for each of us to step up in our own lives, because once we do, once we remember the truth of who we are and what we're here for, that expands out into the entire world. And that's what's happening. This isn't random. This is orchestrated. This has been foretold for many millennia in all indigenous people on this planet and in all the people that are aware enough to be conscious enough to see what's happening and has been happening and will, unless we come together as a human race, as humanity, and its progression into a higher frequency of love and understanding and compassion. But that can't happen. Well, it couldn't happen until this last black domino fell. There will be no going back. This isn't like all the other dominoes that have fallen. This has touched the world because we are moving into the age of Aquarius. It really is happening. And the age of Aquarius is about humanity. It is about the world. It is about each and every one of us remembering the truth that we are divine sparks of all that is. And that we have an assignment here now. The light workers, the star seeds, the galactic brother and sisterhood, the beings that have come from other galaxies and other star systems to help humanity move into this next octave. And it is an octave that we all in our heart of hearts have always longed for. There's no one here on this planet that hasn't longed for love. No one. And the more vile, the more debased, the more criminal, the more broken, which has become the patriarchy, because they've lost their connection with the divine feminine. They've lost their connection with the earth and all of her creatures because they've shut down their hearts. And what they really want is love. That's what we all want. And that's what we all are if we remember. And so now it's time to remember that truth. And let your tears come now. Let your tears flow. Let them come because they need to. We can't suppress this any longer. We need to feel, not just stay in our minds, but in our hearts. We have to come back and make the connection between our hearts and our consciousness. That is our alignment. That is our safety right now, is that connection between these, your consciousness and your heart. And allowing yourself to actually feel this now and not turn away, not turn your head, not go for the alcohol, not go for the pipe, not go for the in the arm, not go for the food, not go for the Netflix binge watching, not go anywhere else but right here, right now. Right here, right now. It's important. It's so important. It's tantamount important. It is tantamount right now that we choose truth and that we choose to remember the divine feminine within everyone, which is about acceptance and allowing and inclusion. Inclusion. Nature doesn't put aside anything or anyone. Nature is inclusive. Nature is diverse. And so are we. And so it's time. This is the time. It's here. And connecting those dots to realize that what is happening in this everyday world, which is really turned upside down now, the mundane, the day-to-day, the practical, now needs to be aligned with the divine. To get through this, we must remember the truth. And the truth is that we came and we were chosen to come to change this paradigm and to be the front line of this paradigm. There are many people out there in the world that have been doing the work behind the scenes. I'm one of those people. And now even me that doesn't want to come out and be seen, guess what? Now it's time to come out and be seen and stand for what you believe in. Stand up, get up off your ass and stand up and be seen. Look, it's easy. This is what you do. You stand up, say, no more. You say, done. This is it. This is the line. So we take this horrific happening that has been happening forever, especially to the disenfranchised. And unfortunately, the Blacks have been that. They've been the scapegoat. They've been stuck in the shadowy place in ourselves. That somehow one life is worth more than another. It's time to take back your divine feminine. Let her in. Because once she's in, there is going to be no more killing of the planet. There is going to be no more trophy hunting. So your ego can look bigger than it already is. This has been foretold. And this had to happen. Unfortunately, it had to happen. And this soul, this very high soul, George Floyd, very high soul, very, all of them, to sacrifice their own existence, to have us wake up. And now we must. One of the tools to help us bridge this mundane to the divine is our breath. I am honored to bring the conscious connected breath forward for 33 years and have been doing this work behind the scenes for that long. And the conscious connected breath is allowing one to align within themselves. Notice how deep you can breathe. And notice that that's what he said. I can't breathe. And that micro, mundane, is connected to the macro in regards to breathing and aligning with our higher selves. Our higher selves, our non-egoic selves. The breath allows one to align with your higher self. It aligns you within and without. It connects you from the mundane to the divine. Because the deeper you can breathe, the deeper you can feel. And of course, in our society, it's always been about, oh, feelings, nah, they don't matter. Oh, don't feel that. Just stuff it. Will ya? Just stuff it. Just do anything in the world but feel. And when you start consciously connecting your breath, you start to feel. That's what it's about feeling. About feeling all of it. And yeah, people are scared to feel, because when they feel, that usually brings up the shadow. And in the shadow are all the shoulda, woulda, couldas that you were supposed to do, and you were supposed to be, and you were spoon fed from the time you got here, depending on, well, not depending on anything. We were all spoon fed. We were all spoon fed in our societies, in our cultures, in our skin color, in our sex, in our family line. We were all just put into a position of swallowing it. And now we are moving from this place of forgetting and this place of ego into a place of divinity and remembering the truth. And the truth is that we are so much more than what we've ever thought. We co-create our world. We co-create our life with our high self, our soul. Our high self is our bridge between the mundane and the divine. It's always there. It always has been there. It's always talking. We just have to listen. So if we can listen on the inside to what is being asked of us and where we're being directed, we can listen on the outside to people that have different views than us. Everyone has their take on reality. Some of it is in alignment with what we believe. Some of it is not. Now is the time, especially in this lunar eclipse, to let whatever hasn't been looked at come forward. And if that's stuff that makes you cry, please do. And please breathe. Breathe deeply. Breathe consciously. Let your breath align you. Let your breath relax your nervous system. The nervous system right now on a planetary scale is off the charts. Breathing deeply, consciously allows you to come back into center, allows you to come back into heart, allows you to come back into your feelings. And if everyone started crying, it would shift like that. It would shift like that. Humanity's tears would wash away all this pain and suffering that people on this planet have been going through for millennia. We are now in the middle and the peak of this lunar eclipse in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is about finding out, about seeing what's out there. And there is so much information out there now. I mean, there is so much information out there now. You have no excuse anymore not to know. There is no hiding anymore. This is the time to step up and be counted for love and be counted for light. You must now take a stand. No more on the fence. No more wishy-washy. You're either on the side of the light or you're on the side of the dark. And as this decade progresses, that will become clearer and clearer which side you're on. So if you're on the side of the powers that be, then you are still in the dark. And you're still in your shadow. So now it's time to do the shadow work. Lots of information out there about the shadow. Lots of information. Yeah, it's a lot to frickin' deal with your crap. Yeah, it's a lot. It takes strength. It takes courage. It takes so much courage and fortitude to take a look in the mirror and really see what's there. Who's there? What do you represent? What do you stand for? Do you stand for fear or do you stand for love? Because that's what it boils down to. You're either in your fear or you're in your love. So the dots being connected now are fear that has been rampant because the patriarchy has shoved and suppressed down the feminine. And you see that everywhere. To the point that it's so grotesque that it cannot survive. And it is crumbling. And the more people that stand up for the light and the love of the truth that they are, the faster it will crumble. But you have to do the work. You must now. And I know it can be daunting. And especially if you're just waking up now. I have great compassion for people that are just starting to put these dots together. because it is so huge, and it's the only game in town. There's no way you can get to the next level without doing the work. Breathing consciously, deeply allows you to get to the work. It goes into your emotional body. The emotional body is, of course, the one that's been suppressed. Don't feel, don't have emotions. All emotions are energy in motion. If they move, then you're on the right track. So look at little kids. They go through their emotions like this. And it's okay. It's okay to go through your emotions. If you can find a place that's quiet in the midst of all of this, which is stepping into your center, then you're not in the debris of all of this. You're in the center. And from that, you can listen to what your higher self is saying to you and follow it. It's not just about listening. You got to start somewhere, though. So you have to start with that, oh, that little voice, which I'm sure by now has gotten louder. You have to start there and let those feelings come forward. So when you breathe deeply and you breathe consciously, you allow those feelings that have been in the basement to come out. And yeah, some of them are not pretty. Some of them are very broken and 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 sad. So sad. So much sadness. Yes, the anger is being acted out, but underneath that is sadness, is grief. We need to grieve. We must grieve now for ourselves, for our fellow human beings, for the planet, for the animals, for the water, for the air, for the earth, for the fire, for the trees, for the birds, for the babies. Babies are starving to death. There's plenty to go around. If the 639 billionaires in our country would share, this could be turned around overnight if they would share. Because most of those people that have that kind of money have done it on the backs of the rest of us. Yeah. And that kind of greed and that kind of silence and that kind of turning away, that is exactly what's wrong. That is the shadow magnified to infinity. When you have that much and don't share it and only want more. Broken. That's a symbol of broken. That's a symbol of someone that has no inner knowing of the truth of who they are. They believe that it all comes from the outside, and they're going to take as much as they can on the backs of others. Well, that's all going to change too. All of this is going to change. It is changing, and it will continue to change. We are in a transition time from one age to another. One age lasts about 2,200 years. So think about the last 2,200 years. So from right before Christ forward, right before Buddha forward, right before Krishna forward, right before Muhammad forward, and all the saints and sages that we don't know their names. They've all been here and they've all been doing the work to get us to here. So now we're here. So now you need to decide, are you going to just stand by some more and just let your egos talk you out of it? Or are you going to stand up for what is right and what is truth and what is honor? Let George Floyd and all the dominoes before him, let their sacrifice touch you to your core so that you know that you must now stand up and be counted. Stand up. Stand up. Look, it's easy. You stand up, you're counted. I stand up and I am counted for divinity and for the truth and for love and for light. That's what I represent. That's what I am honored to be on this planet, to help ground that into the earth. Whatever you're doing, you can take a deep, conscious, connected breath and allow it to calm you down and allow you to become more peaceful and not be in the debris, but in the center of the cyclone. You start with relaxing your mouth and allowing to breathe through your mouth, because most people breathe so shallowly they never get to feel their life force and they never get to touch what's going on in their emotional body. Every trauma that you've ever experienced is housed there, starting with your birth. So if you weren't wanted, if you weren't the right sex, if you're right out of the gate, it was harsh, then that set it up. That was the foundation of the emotional body in this life. And so now it's time to take this mundane, daily, every day, and move it up through your breath into the divine, into the holy, into all that is. And let go of the emotions that are holding you back, that you've turned away from for lifetimes, probably. If you can breathe consciously, even if you just take 5 minutes out of your day, you can start with baby steps. Babies have to start with baby steps. And a lot of babies waking up. Wow. So start there. Start connecting your breath. Start breathing through your mouth. Notice how far you can get up. The idea is to get up through your heart and all the way up to the top of your crown and then back in to your root chakra and up through all the chakras. Allowing yourself to feel. When you breathe, you feel, and then you release what you're holding on to, and then you heal. And that's what's being asked right now. We're being asked to heal ourselves and then the planet and everyone and everything on it. And we can do that when we clear it out, when we clear out the shadow. By acknowledging the shadow, by saying, yes, I see you, shadow, and I'm sorry. Sorry. I'm sorry, I forgot. Forgive yourself. Start there. Start with you. Forgive yourself for forgetting. It's okay. We all have forgotten. Some of us, not so much anymore. But if you can take a conscious connected breath from your root chakra all the way up through your heart, especially because most people's heart You can't get it here. Cannot get it here. Cannot get a deep, full breath through their heart and then up and then back in. Practice makes improvement. So start where you are. Start today. Start this minute. Take a deep breath with me. Feel that. Feel that immediate calming of the nervous system. And when you calm, because you're connected to everything and everyone calms, whether they are conscious of it or not. Start where you are. Know that you're not alone. Know that what is happening in the mundane is divine. It is in divine timing. It is with divine guidance. This has been foretold. We are here now. And now we go forward. And we stand up and we're counted in love and in light. And we let the rest go now so that we can move on to our higher selves. Yes. There is more. There is more. There's so much more. Holy moly. There's so much more. So, this is a longer one today. This is the longest one today. And I'm glad. Happy tears. And those are okay too, you know. Not all tears have to be sad. They can be happy too. And that's what this is about now. Letting the sad tears out so you can cry happy tears of joy because people are coming together and they're standing up and they're being counted. And that's why we're here. Now, to bring it, the divine into the mundane. I am a bridge for that. I am a bridge for connecting those dots, for seeing that what is happening on the surface, the mundane, is so much deeper than what you're seeing. The divinity that is being asked for now had to happen. There were other options, of course. There always has been. The universe has been knocking for a while. But if you don't open the door after the first while of knocks, after the first, 5,000 knocks, then the universe will come in and freaking tear it to the ground and burn it to the ground. And that's what's happening. Because one way or another, this is destiny. We're part of that. And like it or not, we are in this together. So I want to thank you all, my 4 subscribers, and all that is, because I am honored to be here now, to be this for others, because the idea is to serve. And I am so glad that I am out of my own way in remembering the truth of who and what I am, where I come from, and where I'm going. And you are too. Om Namah Shivaya. Until next time, I'm Amber Dawn Star, practical mystic, connecting the dots between the mundane and the divine, at your service. Bye for now.